I'm going to try and hit a fragile topic today. I'm going to shoot my best shot here. And it's about men who leave the church but keep the patriarchy. And it doesn't always look like what you might think. They may have deconstructed the doctrine, and they have given themselves to question authority, and they've done amazing, courageous work. That work that it takes to step outside the system. That's a big deal. But they didn't dismantle what the system built inside of them. And some of them keep that part inside of them that says, I get access to women. I'm entitled to her energy, her body, her time, and her emotional regulation. Now, he's not going to say those things, but he behaves this way because the unspoken programming is still alive in him. It's just no longer called things like the priesthood or a calling, and it's not these eternal roles that were given to men by positioning them in powers of authority in the church structure. Now it's called, I'm conscious, I'm awake, I'm open, I don't believe in ownership. I see how terrible the patriarchy has impacted women. I follow my truth. Yet somehow that truth keeps leading them into women's bodies without any structure, without any clarity, without responsibility. And then there's another kind of man who swings the opposite direction. They reject dominance of the patriarchy so hard that they lose their own spine entirely. And these men become overly agreeable, emotionally fluent, easy to be around, happy, free love, no judgment here. But what they don't realize is that they're still tracking authority. Only now the authority is you, the woman or the partner. He's tracking your reactions. He's still seeking your approval. He's still centering everyone else's comfort without knowing his own needs, his own passions, his own desires. He's not leading his life. He's still adjusting to all the external influences, and he's outsourcing his own authority. So I'm going to share this invisible part, the part that men don't understand. When women are declaring, hey, I would never date an LDS man or an ex-LDS man. And I bet that hurts. And it's the part that no one's saying out loud. But out here in the dating world, the women can feel it. And both of these types of men are still shaped by the patriarchy. One expresses it through entitlement, and the other expresses it through compliance. Neither one is yet free. And so for women, it might be easier to see how we've been harmed by the patriarchy. But for men, it's more difficult to see how patriarchy has harmed them. You see, patriarchy, it's never about control. It is about control, but it's more about disconnection from the self, disconnection from your truth, a disconnection from taking responsibility for how your behavior impacts others. It's a disconnection from your own embodied presence. And so when a man leaves the system, but he doesn't do the deeper work, he might think he's liberated. But in reality, he's just become a new version of the same pattern that was built inside him by the church, by patriarchal systems. And the women who have done the deeper work of the deconstructing of patriarchy, they can feel it. I'll just be personal. We feel like your desire doesn't have any direction. We feel like your new openness has no boundaries whatsoever, and like your kindness is not coming with any backbone. And to us, it feels like you're performing some new awareness instead of standing in something real and structured. And I get it. And this is why there's so much work to do after leaving these old structures that we inherited. And so I'm offering you grace because no one taught us how to navigate this space. But if you want to be truly free and you want to continue evolving, you've got to learn to rebuild yourself on a whole new foundation, an authentic foundation for you. But nonetheless, it needs to be a foundation, a structure inside. And here's what actually deconstructs the patriarchal structure that they built inside of you. It's when you become a man who stops negotiating with himself. You're starting to define new lines of personal integrity, and you know what you want according to your own desires rather than what the church told him you should want. And you become a man who can feel his own desires and choose what he's going to do with it. He's building, creating, structuring, pursuing. A man who can connect without losing his center. And he's not trying to get something from women, her body or her affection or her energy or her emotion, her emotional regulation or her time. And he stops using her as if he was entitled to her. And you become a man who has boundaries. That means your no exists. In fact, it's only when your no exists that your yes even means something. You become a man whose presence doesn't shift based on who you're around or who's in front of you. You're not adjusting where you're standing according to your outer environment. That man, he doesn't need patriarchy. And he doesn't collapse into a puddle without the structure of patriarchy. He's not trying to dominate, and he's not trying to people please. He's anchored in himself, in his vision, his integrity, his newly constructed backbone that he created for himself. So leaving this church is a step. It's a brave step for sure, but if you didn't examine what it taught you about your direct power, or what it taught you about taking accountability or seeking approval or access to women's energy, well, then you didn't actually leave it behind, did you? You just changed the language. The structure is still alive in you. And for those single men in the dating world, when you're done getting all of your wiggles out and satiating the void from having no healthy young adult life, and you're getting ready to find another partner, the woman you actually want to start rebuilding with, they're not just looking for whether you've freed yourself from the system. That's important to them. But they're also looking for integrity inside of that newfound freedom. Because freedom without that structure, it's not liberation, that's drift. And drift doesn't build anything real. So if something in you can feel what I'm saying, good. I hope this made it more clear for you. And I hope that what you're feeling is not more shame. Oh gosh, that's not my intention. We've had enough of that. All of us have. I hope what it's brought to you is awareness. And awareness is where real change begins. So if you're struggling to navigate this part of deconstruction and reconstruction, reach out to me. I got you. Let's heal together.